Right now, I will be having a conversation with Dr. Sandra Owens. She is an advocate for vulnerable children, adults, and older adults in Nevada. She's a licensed clinical social worker. She has 20 years of experience as a university professor teaching graduate and undergraduate social work students. Dr. Owens is definitely the person that gets the job done. If you want the job done, you need to be reaching out to her because she gets the job done. And the funds raised for research and training for mental health care. Welcome to Ladies First, Dr. Owens. It's a pleasure having you on the show.
It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for that warm welcome. It's very interesting. I always tell people, if you want something done, get a social worker. If you have a board, get a social worker on that board. I think we bring together all of the expertise and all of the values that help society. And so I'm glad you said that. And before I listen to your first question, I just wanted to segue with your discussion of the Super Bowl. As a social work practitioner and researcher, I have long known that Super Bowl championships in NFL, NBA championships, whatever city they go to, they see an insurge of prostitution and human trafficking. And they said when the Super Bowl gets to Vegas in a couple of years, they say it's going to look like we just have visitors from all over the universe here. And so with that said, as community members, we see something, we need to say something. We need to help these women, help them find alternative avenues and alternative things to do with their bodies. And we have a number of new programs. Even within the last 6 months, I was offered a job to help women who are trafficked. They wanted someone who was calm, someone who was Black, someone who would be able to relate to them. I ultimately did not take that job because I have branched out into my own business, and I think that's part of the reason why Ramon Savoy invited me to talk. I'm going. I've already done like a soft launch. I haven't launched it fully, but I posted on Facebook a little bit about myself and the fact that I was in business for myself. And it's a new venture for me to not work for the city or county or state agency, because that's what I've done all of my 54 years of adult working. I've worked for other people, and I've enjoyed it, and I've always given in service. But now I'm just going to work from home 100% and do what I can to continue to help the community. So thank you. Thank you for welcoming me, Cheryl.
Yes, absolutely. So I do want to piggyback off what you said about now you're in business for yourself. So you do a lot, and you've done a lot with academics, with research, with training, and with publications. You've now ventured out on your own with your own company, Dr. Sandra Owens, Research, Training, and Consulting. You're doing 3 different things. Please explain the components of what it is you do.
Thanks for asking. When I decided to form my LLC a few months ago, I had to come up with a title. I've always had a side business, 1099 consulting, doing expert testimony, helping nonprofits. And so I've always had to file, taxes regarding what I've done. I just have never done it full time. So when I had to come up with this name, the person working with me said, well, you can't do, you have to pick one area. I said, but I can't. I said, I do all 3, and I want to do all 3. And he said, okay. And so as I've developed my websites, I have 3 websites that I'm going to be launching soon. One of them was launched today, drsandraowens.com. And so that's one of my businesses, and I'll have 2 more launching later this month. But research is because I love research, I love knowledge, I love education. And what did our parents tell us growing up? They can't take your education from you. You get that degree, you get that certificate, you get that training. Yep. So research is it's the foundation. It's the foundation of the other 2. And so the training, after I have my degrees, and while I was getting my degrees, I made sure that I received additional ongoing training, that I volunteered, that I was a social work intern, but then also, a volunteer intern, that unpaid intern. And so I wanted training in addition to that foundation of education. And then the consulting came to me. People have come to me and said, my daughter's going through divorce, bad custody battle. I see on your resume you used to work for the custody and mediation office. Can you interview her and the child and write a report for the judge? I'm like, sure I can. And so the consulting has come to me by people who know me, by word of mouth. Directors of workforce development programs. Like, we have some men here who came out of prison and women who came out of prison. They're in a workforce development, construction trades program, but they're not finishing. And we're finding that they're depressed. They have substance abuse. Can you come over and help? And so I would come over for 3 or 4 months while they're in their program and do assessments and find out one of them needed a driver's license. Another one needed a place to stay for 2 weeks. Again, had gotten kicked out. Another one needed substance abuse counseling. And I can make those referrals, get them those services, and their graduation rate doubled for that cohort of men who were coming out of the terrible prison system, trying to get their lives back, but couldn't focus, couldn't come to a free workforce development program. And so I consulted with that agency for years, and with several of those cohorts of men. And the tears that they and the families had at graduation, it just lifted my heart. And so at this phase in my life, I want to do more of that consulting. So now I'm going to start soliciting nonprofits. Is there a way I can help reach your goals? Is there a grant that you need some help writing the report? And so that's one of the areas I'm going to be doing, trying to still help the community, but being more strategic in terms of getting my name and my expertise to the in front of the people who can hire me to consult with their agency so that they reach their goals and our community just gets better. That's the real purpose of this LLC that I've begun in this new venture.
Okay, so you said research, consulting, and what is the third one?
It was research, training, and consulting.
Training, okay. And what areas do you train in?
For me, most of my training is related to teaching. I teach cross-cultural competency courses. I've taught them for water districts, senior care centers, teaching people how to understand each other's culture so they can get along in the workplace and do a better job. And I've also done training in human behavior and the environment and aging. Aging has been my area of expertise. And so that's my dissertation was about African-American female caregivers of their elderly parents. And so that's the area where I train people to be better caregivers. I've also done training in the foster care system and the DCFS system, training social workers to be more culturally competent with the children in their care and training them about the Indian Child Welfare Act and making sure they followed the law and tried to find other Native parents for Native American children that came into care and letting them know they had to, or otherwise we would lose federal dollars. You couldn't just say I couldn't find any. There are some. We didn't find them in this state. We can find them in another state. And so helping social workers understand the importance of culture, religion, values of the kids that they're caring for. Yes, they need to eat, drink, and sleep, but culture and your support system is very, very important. And so that's another area of work that I'll be doing in searching for contracts for training workers, social workers, doctors, nurses to be more competent in the healthcare system because we're going through COVID. Things are worse than they were a year ago. The system was already bad in terms of our outcomes with healthcare. And so we can only imagine it was compounded. And so I'm right now developing a training for doctors, nurses, and social workers in the healthcare fields.
And do you mentor?
Yes, I mentor. Oh my God.
So you do 4 things. Yeah. You just added something else.
Okay, you made me just write that down. I mentor.
Right.
I did not put that on my list of already. Because that's what I've done generously and freely and without compensation all my life. And so it's hard to think about mentoring as one of my aspirations in terms of making money this year. But thank you for pointing that out. It's something that I enjoy doing, and it's my way of giving back. It's my way of paying it forward. It's my way of telling people, look at the silver lining of where you are in this situation. Look at the optimistic ways you can go from here. Because people often come to me crying, depressed, divorced. I was on a workshop a few months ago, the weekend after George Floyd died. I was with lawyers, and the lawyers were like, do I go to work Monday? May I cuss somebody out? Can you help me? I'm like, yes, call me. We'll do a little coaching session before you go to work Monday. I'll have you together with some referrals and resources and tips. And we did that with several of the people after the webinar because it was just such a heart-wrenching experience. They're like, I'm angry. I've never been this angry, and I have to go to work with people that don't look like me. It's like, oh, I can talk about that. what I've done all my life. And so it's like I've often been the only black person. I was the first black person to ever get a PhD in the School of Social Welfare at UC Berkeley. The first black person to get an LCSW who graduated LCSW licensed clinical social work credential, who has a bachelor's and a master's degree here from UNLV. I'm the first to do a lot of things. And so I have no problems walking in the room. The first female advisor to a president of a university in Nevada. I don't mind walking in those doors because I'm confident about myself, and I research what's going on, and I try to help others do their job better. And they realize I'm not a threat. We're all here to help. We're all civil servants. I'm here to help you. And so I've had great experiences being the only and the first. And so I want to encourage others to keep doing that, being the only and the first or the 50th, who cares? But just do your best once you're in that room, and you can make a difference for the community. And so that's my life's goal.
Yes. And so being that you do love research and reading your bio, you do a lot of research. Are you currently doing any research now?
I am currently waiting for a couple of funders to reply to grant applications that I submitted with Masjid Al-Mayoun a couple of months ago and last month. And so should we get those grant fundings, and yes, I'll be implementing the grants and doing research and publishing about our outcomes. Most of the research that I've done was in conjunction with large federal grants and helping bring money to social workers to get more social workers in Nevada since we have such a shortage. But now the grants that I'm doing are going to be more community focused and getting more people to work, getting more businesses in underserved communities, getting our religious organizations and communities involved and partnered with businessmen and venture capitalists so that we can invest in the ground floor of the communities. Because I've been in, the Ivy Tower quite a long time, 20 years. But while I was teaching full time, I was also volunteering full time. And so all of this is going to just contribute to, I think, just better outcomes for more people. And so I will be writing more grants. I had someone come to my direct message me the other day saying, if you get a federal grant, I can help project manage it for you. I was like, what? I didn't know I could do that. I managed my own all these years. It's like, well, I get it. I can hire somebody to do it. Just another way of thinking about what I have done and what I can do going forward. So, yes, I will be pursuing more research and more grants.
Now, it takes funding for the research that you do, and you have written proposals for and administered over $3,390,000 in research and training grants and contracts. Tell us, now that's a lot of money. Tell us about some of the research and training you've gotten grants for.
Well, I'll tell you about the Lindsay Institute. The state of Nevada has a low percentage in per capita of mental health professionals. And so they gave me $100,000 to survey people who are getting mental health counseling and asking them, are you happy with what you need? Was it difficult to find a practitioner? What's it like to get, in terms of its accessibility, affordability, accountability, availability, and I surveyed them and got those responses. And then I talked to the mental health professionals. I got a list of all of the licensed social workers in the state and the licensed psychiatrists, psychologists, MFTs, and surveyed them. What are your training needs? Do you feel like in Nevada you can get the training you need to stay, up to date with best practices? And you might guess the outcomes, even though we know what they might be. We have to ask the people who are on the ground and who are experiencing things. That's why I survey people. And yes, the practitioners did not feel like there was enough training for them to stay up to date. They did not feel like there were enough coworkers and colleagues in the state to help them meet the needs. The clients, they did not feel like I have a therapist, I don't like them, but it took me 2 months to get this one. I'm not going anywhere. And so, those problems are still there. I'm hoping that now with, CARES Act funding and with the governor of Nevada recognizing racism as a public health crisis, as more allies, ethnic minority and poor people recognizing that we weren't just shouting fire and we weren't just, exaggerating. It's real. These problems cause stress. They cause, morbidity and mortality rates to increase. And so I'm hoping that we can address some of that, attract more mental and behavioral health people to this city. The city's getting more attractive with the Raiders coming. That's attractive. We've had people, influx of people just coming, even when they knew that we weren't going to have stands in the fans. I met some people. I was working for the Raiders Stadium a few months ago, and they were tailgating just on a regular day, and I had to go tell them they can't tailgate in the parking lot. That's not zoned for that. They're like, we moved here last week from the Bay Area. We know that there's not going to be any fans, and our tickets are going to have to wait till next year. But we wanted to be the first to tailgate in the stadium's parking lot. I'm like, okay. And they said, we have it on video. I'm like, okay. I'm so glad that's done, but it's not permitted anymore, and I had to kind of wait for them to go. And so with the Raiders coming, maybe an NBA team, our city's already been one of the most visited places and one of the most visited, posted about places in the world for years. And so I think after the vaccinations hit herd immunity, we're going to see people from all over the world just flocking in here. And it's going to be an economic boost to our community and our state, and we need it. And so we welcome them. We want to stay safe. We want to make sure, we don't have influx of crime with that. So again, we started out with, you see prostitution, you see human trafficking, you report it, you help. You do what you can to support the programs that help. And so I think Vegas, I've always loved it. I've traveled all over the world. I've lived in several countries, but I love this place more than any city. Second is Cabo, but Las Vegas is my heart, where my home and my heart are.
Yeah. And so with the CARES Act and to help, and we have racism, and we have public health crisis, we have mental health issues. Where would you say we are as a country today?
As a country today, I think we're at a crossroads. I think the Congress is hearing us and listening to us, and they're forging on, even in the face of opposition. I think it's like I haven't taken a cruise. I want to. Would have taken one this year, but for COVID, I think we're turning a big, heavy ship. And I think better times are ahead for our country. And I truly think that. I was talking to a colleague, and she thought this year was going to be worse. And her daughter thought, this year would be worse than last. I said, oh, no, I don't feel that. I'm not going to put that in the universe. And I don't think that. I don't believe that. I think we're at a crossroads and a turning point, and it's going to get better. It's going to take all of us making it better and sustaining the improvements. But I think that's what we're here for. That's what, public service and, people like you are here for. You are bringing information and expertise to the community so they have a better life. And I just think there's more people doing that now than I've seen in my life. And so I just think things are going to get better.
Okay. And with you being in the field of mental health, how has COVID interrupted some of the mental health programs that people truly need here in the state?
I will tell you, COVID has improved some of the mental health services and access here in the state.
Really?
In Nevada, in Nevada, social workers, my profession, were not permitted to do telehealth until the governor said, yes, we need you all out there. And then some people are like, well, as soon as COVID, stay-at-home orders lifted, we're not going to be able to do it. No, it's continuing and maybe indefinite. Same with Medicaid clients. I'm a Medicaid and a Medicare provider, recently approved within the last couple of months as I start, my new ventures. And Medicaid used to say telehealth. Nope. Your clients must come into the office. As of last month or December, no. Medicaid, almost all services, including telehealth, counseling, medical, nursing care, can be over the phone. Yesterday, I had a medical doctor's appointment sitting at my island. That I would not have expected a year ago. I would not have called a year ago. But when my insurance said, we have concierge service and you can have your appointments at home, I'm like, let me see. It happened. They just notified me my prescriptions already. That's a silver lining from COVID. It would have taken 2 sessions for us to convince the Nevada legislature to change the revised statutes to let social workers have telemedicine. It took the governor's order. So I'm happy about some of the changes. also, like me working from home, 3 or 4 months ago, I was going in. Now, the clients, we have a nice, system online. If they want to see us, they can see us. If they want to just talk, they can just talk. If they want to text, they can just text. A year ago, I would never think social workers and others, doctors and nurses, would be providing care with texting or with FaceTime. We have some, protected HIPAA compliance issues. I don't think they can use FaceTime, but I can know there's some others kind of platforms that protect so they're encrypted and things like that.
Yeah.
But I would not have imagined this before COVID.
Right. So I want to really quickly, you are a member of a team of 40 scientists, and in January 2020, you got a grant for how much for the National Science Foundation to study the use of artificial intelligence to improve innovative food products. Now, you're going to have to talk about that really quickly.
It was a group of scientists. A colleague of mine moved to Arkansas. He's running a group of hundreds of workers. I'm so proud of him. And he and I and the others in another state, a couple other states, we saw a call for proposals for $20 million. And so we applied for that. Unfortunately, we did not get it. We will be revising it and applying again. But basically, some of the other professors have factories where they have artificial food that they're testing, beef jerky, things like that. And so we were trying to figure out a way where we could use that and have millennials as test subjects. And so I'm the expert in terms of applied health. So I was in charge of the branch that was going to recruit ethnically diverse millennials from our 4 different states to have surveys with me and a colleague that I brought in, and we were going to talk to them about the food, about their health, about what we could do to motivate them to live better lives so that our obesity problem would start going down. That's another area that I'll be talking about, in the future. I used to be over 350 pounds. I weigh 168, and I'm holding steady, most weeks. And it's like to tell women that story, how you too can do that, what I did, and giving you that journey and helping you, because it's not, obesity is a major problem. Some people think, well, I'm not going to be one of those that can ever drop 150 pounds or 100 or 80. And the reality is, if you drop 10% of your weight as an obese person, usually can get rid of comorbidities like diabetes and high blood pressure and depression. And so I want women to know that and to see me as an example of somebody who lived it, not just studied it. I have studied it, but the research and the practice go hand in hand. And so that's part of my life story. And I've never even, surely I've never said on the radio that I used to make that much. And I haven't told many people in life. But that's my other, another area of me growing and being more brave to tell my story, because it might help somebody else with their life.
Absolutely. Absolutely. What I would like for you to do is to give your information for anyone that may want to reach out to you.
Okay. My name is Sandra Owens. My phone number is 702-612-6371. My first website that you can reach me, an easy one, is drsandraowens.com. DrSandraOwens.com. All one word, drowens.com. And there's a contact me. You could give me your information in there and then shoot me an email automatically, and then I'll be back in touch with you. Or you can email me directly at my business address. And my business address is Sandra, Sandra, Owens, LLC, one word. I wish it had put a dot in there. But Sandra.Owens, LLC @gmail.com.
At gmail.com. And if you could just repeat your telephone number once more.
Yes, 702-612-6371. Call me, Cheryl, because I think you're phenomenal. I just met you, but I like you.
Yes, definitely. And you will be hearing from me, because I actually have a question for you. I just don't have time to do it over the air. But Dr. Sandra Owens, it's been an absolute pleasure speaking to you. Dr. Owens is an advocate for vulnerable children, adults, and older adults in Nevada. She has her own company now. You guys make sure that you reach out to her. It's Dr. Sandra Owens, Research, Training, and Consulting. And again, we will definitely have to have you back on the show, Dr. Owens. It's been an absolute pleasure.
It's been a pleasure. I look forward to it. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Bye-bye.
Yes. Thank you. Hey, you guys, stay tuned. Coming up, we have Miss Balling D. She has her own sports podcast now. Stay tuned.